Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we are going to learn about the glucagon, its metabolic effects, its comparison with the insulin, and how it is going to affect when you take just the protein diet. In the end, I will also summarize whole of the story regarding the control of the blood glucose level. As far as the glucagon is concerned, you can see that it is secreted when glucose is gone. In short, it is a hyperglycemic hormone. So whenever the blood glucose level is decreasing, there is no more glucose, there will be secretion of glucagon take place. It is synthesized in the alpha cells of the isolates of Langerhans in the pre-pro-glucagon form, which is converted in the alpha cells into the glucagon. Then it comes in the blood to circulate without binding to carrier proteins. It has the main action regarding the glycogenolysis and increased gluconeogenesis. But you must remember that muscle does not respond to glucagon. It exerts its effects on the liver and adipose tissues. This is a very simple diagram to show the metabolic effect of the glucagon. And I will discuss all these reactions in detail in the following slides. But very simply, you can see that this arrow, which is violet in color and continuous, showing the stimulate effect of the glucagon, and dotted and black arrow showing the inhibition. So in the liver, this glycogen more and more converted into glucose phosphate, which is going to increase the blood glucose level, and from the adipose tissues, free fatty acids level in the blood that increases. In short, in the plasma there is increased blood glucose level, free fatty acids, keto acids, and decreased amino acids. Now I am going to discuss the details of these reactions. For the glycogenolysis, glucagon activates cyclic AMP so that the protein kinase regulator protein is activated. Once it is activated, it activates the phosphorylase B kinase, which is activating the phosphorylase A. It promotes degradation of glycogen into the glucose 1-phosphate so that next glucose 1-phosphate is dephosphorylated and more glucose that comes into the liver. Mechanism for the gluconeogenesis is that glucagon increases the rate of amino acid uptake by the liver cells. As by the diagram I have already shown you, it then stimulates the conversion of many amino acids to the glucose. This is achieved by activating many enzymes required for amino acid transport and gluconeogenesis. By this diagram, you can see how the glucagon is going to increase the blood glucose level. That is, it is causing or stimulating more and more glycogen to be converted into glucose and also the amino acids to be converted into glucose. Its other effects includes it activates adipose cell lipase. Increased quantities of fatty acids are made available. It inhibits storage of triglycerides in the liver, causes increase in the blood flow in some tissues such as kidney, enhances the bile secretion, inhibits the gastric acid secretion also. From this diagram, I want to show its effect on the liver, adipose tissue, and also in the skeletal muscle, and it has no effect as I have already told you in the previous slide. Moreover, here you can see two signs, plus and negative. plus is the stimulant and it is the inhibition. So you can see in the liver more and more glycogen that is going to be converted into glucose and which comes out. But the conversion of glucose into the fatty acid that is inhibited. More amino acids uptake increases by the liver under the effect of glucagon. In the adipose tissues, triglycerides they are converted into more and more fatty acids so that they come into the circulation and there is increase in the plasma fatty acid level. As far as the regulation of glucagon is concerned, increased blood glucose concentration that inhibits the glucagon secretion. Increased amino acids stimulate the glucagon. Decrease in fatty acid level stimulate the glucagon. Somatostatin inhibits glucagon and insulin secretion, and also the heavy exercise stimulates the glucagon secretion. Glucagon then promotes rapid conversion of amino acids to glucose, thus making even more glucose available to the tissues. With heavy exercise, glucagon ensures that glucose level do not fall too low. So, it's the best use of the glucagon during heavy exercise so that a constant blood glucose level can be attained. Now, I want to discuss the mechanism when you take just protein diet. What happens then? How the blood glucose level that is maintained? That is a very tricky question. So we must give answer to this question. Glucagon release is stimulated by plasma amino acids. This pathway prevents hypoglycemia after ingestion of a pure protein meal. If a meal contains protein but no carbohydrate, what happens? Amino acids absorbed from the food cause insulin secretion. Insulin secretion is there and also there is glucagon secretion. They both counteract each other and so that in the end the blood glucose level is maintained. From this simple diagram, I want to show all these previous effects dramatically. You can see that how the high protein diet that is going to affect high protein meal causing the blood amino acid concentration increase. Now at the same time beta cells and the alpha cell they are stimulated. At the same time you can have increased insulin and you can have increased glucagon. So that what happens in the end? Hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia, that is the both counteract their actions and the blood glucose normal and blood glucose level that remains normal. This is the response of glucagon during the hypoglycemic state. During hypoglycemia, what happens? More and more glucagon that is stimulated, that is secreted from the alpha cell while the insulin that is inhibited. Okay, then glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis and ketones, they both the three they are increased so that increased blood plasma glucose level is attained. Through the negative feedback mechanism, the further secretion of glucagon that is inhibited. So there is balance between insulin and glucagon, and we can say that insulin is a hormone of feeding while the glucagon is a hormone of fasting. Through this diagram, I want to show you more clear picture about the blood glucose level, how it is maintained by the glucagon and insulin. They are release and controlling its level and remains and so that the blood glucose level remains within normal limits. one more diagram with some more explanation how these hormones they are going to serve the body tissues. In the fat state, we can say that insulin that is going to be dominate, while in the fasted state, glucagon that dominates. I am showing all these diagrams just so that the picture should be clear to you, and also it will be easier to remember all these actions through the diagrams. Now I am going to explain what happens in the muscles, in the liver and in the adipose tissues, as these three sides they are mainly concerned with their fuel mechanism. What happens during fat state and what happens during fasting state. So in the fat state, in the muscles, glucose that from the circulation that is going to the stored in the excessive is going to stored in the glycogen form in the muscles, and in the fasting state, firstly it uses on glycogen stores and secondly absorb fatty acids and ketone bodies. In the liver, in the fat state, more and more glucose that is again going to be converted into the glycogen, and also the fatty acid plasma level increases. In the adipose tissue, in the fat state, glucose that is through this whole cycle, triglycerides they are more formed and fatty acids from the circulation they are absorbed. And all these they are converted into triglycerides in the adipose tissues. While in the fasting state, the opposite effect takes place and this triglyceride that is changed to the fatty acid and glycerol and released to the circulation. This is the summary for the hormonal control of the fuel mechanism. Somatostatin, that is another hormone mainly concerned with the GIT but have also some effects regarding the blood glucose level and the fatty acids and amino acids. It increases the blood glucose level, fatty acids and amino acids level, and also increase concentration of GIT hormones. It has paracrine function locally within the isolates of Langerhans, where it depresses the secretion of both insulin and glucagon. It decreases the motility of stomach, duodenum and gallbladder. It decreases both secretion and absorption in the GIT. It acts in a negative feedback mechanism, manner, so that it inhibits the digestion and absorption of the meals, thereby preventing the excessive amounts of nutrients to be absorbed into the bloodstream. Now the next thing, that is the growth hormone. While discussing the action of the growth hormone, I omit this specific action because I want to add it at this stage, as I am adding this slide in this video, while I am going to wind up whole of the story regarding the blood glucose level control. So what is the role of the growth hormone over that? Major action of growth hormone on carbohydrate metabolism is the conservation of the glucose. It has opposite effect of the insulin, that is the main action of the growth hormone. How it take place? That growth hormone decreases the peripheral utilization of glucose, leads to increase in the blood glucose level and causes diabetes. In such patients, where the growth hormone is only diabetogenic in the pre-diabetic subjects, in these subjects there is continuous excessive stimulation of insulin secretion from the beta cell due to enormous increase in the blood glucose level, so that the beta cell they burn out and insulin production stops obviously and leads to the insulin deficiency. This is the reason which may lead to the condition that is diabetes. Now in the end, I am going to summarize all these things regarding the regulation of the blood glucose level. The most important role is played by the liver. Then secondly, we can have the insulin and glucagon hormones. They are acting. Then the involvement of the sympathetic nervous system, and finally over a period of hours and days, both growth hormone and cortisol are secreted in response to prolonged hypoglycemia, and they both decrease the rate of glucose utilization by most cells of the body, converting instead of greater amounts of the fat utilization. So with this we complete our story about the blood glucose level, and also we have discussed the role of the insulin and glucagon, somatostatin, all these hormones in much more detail. So next we will discuss the clinical condition regarding the blood glucose level, that is the most important, diabetes mellitus. So keep watching my videos. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.